So anatomy and physiology revision mistakes all trainee fit pros need to avoid. So maybe you're this person on screen in the middle looking at your books, not knowing what to do, where to start, a huge amount of information to absorb, lots of new words, can't even pronounce them maybe. You're not alone. This presentation is all about all of the mistakes that fit pros make and the number one thing they need to avoid. So if you are struggling with your level 2 or level 3 anatomy and physiology revision, listen up. Here we go. So we're going to tag team this, me and Hayley. So the aims of this presentation are, have a read through, know what to expect in your level 2 and level 3 A&P exam. Here we go, why aren't we working? Here we go. The time of day of your revision matters. So we're going to talk about a little bit about structuring your actual day of your revision. The common mistake that people make. We're going to build a strategy for you to pass your exam with confidence so you can leave this webinar knowing how to tackle every exam question, regardless of whether you think it's easy or hard, and know without doubt you are going to pass.
And with that, please do pop in a comment in the comments box. When is your exam? So I know there's a few of you that have already done your exams, done and dusted, but please do pop in a comment. When is your exam? Pop that in. Tomorrow. Lovely.
Oh, tomorrow. Fantastic.
Perfect timing. And also, any major questions that you've got, we will ask again at the end because I have a feeling they're going to get caught up in the comments, but ask your questions away in the comments box.
So let's kickstart. What to expect from your level 2 and level 3 anatomy exam. So level 2, if you're on level 2 A&P, you're going to get 50 questions and you need to get 70% or 35 correct to pass. It's all going to be multiple choice, A, B, C, and D. Now, there's a small change here for level 3 A&P. You only have 40 questions, therefore you only need to get 28 to pass. There's no major difference, I'm going to say, between level 2 and level 3. We just dial into the same topics in a little bit more depth. Now, I'm not going to read out all of the topics on the level 2, but just know that there are 8 modules for level 2 A&P, and you're going to get asked between 3 and 8 questions per each one of these modules. So this webinar is recorded. You could do a screenshot now. So if you're on level 2, you can clearly see the 8 modules. Now, this is the downside to your course manual. It doesn't have these 8 modules clearly identified on what you must know from each in any kind of logical order. Level 3, again, same 8 modules. They're not the same. You've got 8 modules. They're slightly different, but they go more in depth. So we go a few inches further into the knowledge and information.
What's really important about these 8 modules that we're talking about, a lot of people when they're looking at their revision, they don't even know what to revise. So these 8 modules that give you these topics to now be basically headlines that you can now work within for your revision. So this will already give you some structure.
And I know a number of you on here already have the level 2 or level 3 A&P Revision Mastery Bootcamp. And what we've done is we've logically put all of the content into these 8 modules so you no longer really have to guess or open up your manual and know what to look for. You can just literally plug and play.
Absolutely.
And that's why I want to invite anybody on here listening or watching the replay to our Revision Mastery Bootcamp. You've got level 2 A&P, level 3 A&P, or the muscle memory sprint. But also the link at the very top of the chat box you'll see is the link to the download for mock questions. And of course, we're going to be talking a lot about mock questions this evening, on how to use them and how to build a revision strategy. So I invite you to download the mock questions. You've got 101 for level 3 A&P, 88 for level 2 A&P. You've also got some nutrition and principles in there. So if you haven't done so already, download those and you can see how you're going to use them effectively and smart over the course of the next few days based on this webinar this evening.
Thank you, Mandy. It's really good to see. So Mandy said that she's got the level 2 Anatomy and Revision Mastery Bootcamps. Absolutely amazing. Recommended. And the sprint. Awesome.
Wicked. So the link is in the comments. Click on here. So with that, it doesn't matter whether you're using your manual, revision mastery bootcamps, YouTube, Google, I don't mind what you're using, providing you are smart with your time, and the time of day for your revision matters. So if you look on screen now, you can see that most people are getting up around the 6 a.m. marker. And then we've probably got a busy morning routine, maybe getting the kids off to school or getting yourself to work, doing a gym session maybe before work. Then we spend the majority of the day, 8 hours grafting. We get home, we do our evening routine. Perhaps you've got the kids to get sorted as well. And for most people, by the time they actually hit their revision, it's now, 7:45 at night.
Round about now.
And if you haven't got myself or Haley in front of you with a kind of a motivational kick up the arse to help you, it's quite tough and challenging on your own. Opening up a manual, not knowing where to start, what to read, and suddenly you're like, after 3 or 4 minutes, well, it would be for me at least, my eyelids would be heavy, and I'd just be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Anything to add on that one?
No, absolutely. You kind of get to the end of the day, and not only have you literally had everything going on, rushing around after the kids, making all the food at home, whatever it is that you do on a day-to-day basis, plus your commute, plus work, the last thing your brain really wants to do is to try and obtain new information and settle down to do that. So what I think the best thing to do, anyway, like personally, if I was to revise now, I would split it up into like 3 different chunks, 10 minutes each chunk, and literally just try and span it out throughout the day where my brain's as fresh as it can be. But yeah.
So we know we're all busy. We're all busy in our own right. Juggling time, juggling lots of responsibilities. I know everybody on this webinar, whether you're live now or watching a recording, you have certain time chunks throughout the day you could donate to revision. So you could do some revision via audio on the way to work on your commute. You could take 10 minutes out of your lunch break. You could get up 15 minutes earlier. You could, before you get into the house at 5 o'clock, just sit in the car and go through 15 minutes or 10 minutes of quality revision. Now you might be saying, why would I want to do 10 minutes at a time? It's not enough. I am saying, consider the possibility that doing 10 minutes 3 times a day, which is quality 10 minutes 3 times a day, top trumps the 1 hour of sleepy-eyed, trying your hardest, banging your head against the manual at 7 o'clock in the evening once you've done your full day. So consider the opportunities that you have, maybe first thing in the morning, on your way to work, around your lunchtime, straight after work. 10 minutes 3 times a day is 30 minutes. 30 minutes a day. By the end of a week, you've done 2.5 hours of quality revision. So the time of day absolutely matters. So with that, our approach to revision, when we do finally sit down of an evening for, let's say, an hour, trying our hardest, we set ourselves up to fail because we start out by looking at mock questions. And this is the #1 common mistake with revision, is having no revision or exam strategy. So we focus purely on mock questions, and this is the #1 mistake. So you can see the dominoes on the screen. The person at the end is passing his exam. We want to knock over that final domino, knowing we are confident and competent, not just for the exam, but linking A and P to progression of training systems, linking it to how do we work safely and effectively with a client. And if we don't have a revision or exam strategy, we lack structure
and meaning,
which means we don't really know what the content of the manual is.
Yeah, and if you don't have that structure, like what we said about knowing all 8 modules and what it is that you actually need to do, then if you don't have that structure, you're literally guessing. You're literally going, I think I'll work off this subject today. And it just gets really out of control, whereby you're not necessarily knowing where to start, and you don't necessarily know what to focus on at any one point. And that's not going to knock the dominoes over to get the success you want.
And with that, so we focus on our mock questions, and the first question comes up, and we find a word we don't understand. So we jump into that topic, we jump into that part of our manual, we jump into that part of YouTube or Google, and suddenly we want to become a perfectionist and know everything about the heart. And we do that for the best part of maybe 2 weeks, and we ignore all of the other content that we do need to know because we want to be able to perfect. In fact,
drop a
comment if that's you. You just want to know everything about the one topic that you've stumbled across that you don't yet understand.
And forget the fact you've still got 7 other modules to understand. I'm reckoning we're going to have a lot of that's me's.
And if you're watching the replay, still drop a comment because we still get those notifications and we will get back to you. So as we're using our mock questions to guide our revision, this lets panic and overwhelm take over because we don't truly know what it is we still need to know. We don't understand what it is we need to learn, not just for the exam, but actually linking that to the end client itself. So we get more and more panicked. We end up asking for more and more mock questions because we've practiced and rehearsed the same mock questions so many times, we know the answers.
Exactly that. And then you get panicked and overwhelmed anyway, based on the fact that like you just don't know what you're really doing anymore, and you don't know where to start. So it just kind of gets onto the great big mismatch.
And even when you do the mock questions, we get distracted by all the sample answers, and we get competitive with ourselves to say how many out of the 101 did I get correct this time round, and we try and beat our score. We try and get a certain amount of percentage because we know we need 70% to pass, and we focus and get distracted on all the wrong things. We should be focusing on the content and understanding X, Y, and Z about the heart, or X, Y, and Z about energy systems, so that we can tackle any question, not just the 40 it is we need in order to pass.
Exactly.
And then, of course, we've got misreading the actual question. So we misread the question, which means we misread the possible answers, and all hell breaks loose. We get even more overwhelmed, more panicked, and we, well, what?
If you misread the question, then what happens?
Then what happens? The likelihood is we're not going to get that question right. So consequently, we end up misreading the question, misreading the sample answers, getting distracted, letting panic and overwhelm set in, and we access all the wrong parts of the knowledge or the information that we already have in our brain. It's kind of like
a filing cabinet.
A filing cabinet.
So when you're learning, if you're learning effectively, if you're learning smart, when you're creating this knowledge, information in your brain, you literally put it into the relevant places of the filing cabinet, which means that then when you get to exam day, you can literally grab the right file at the right time. If you've not learned smart, or you haven't read the question properly, then you won't grab the right file and you'll probably get it wrong.
There we go.
So this is what we're going to teach you today.
So why do we use mock questions? It allows us to practice the type of question, the structure of questions, the wording of questions. You know, Active IQ, YMCA, VTCT can all be quite complicated wording, which puts us off. It throws us on the wrong or right answers. Next one down. It allows us to practice for time frames because you've got 90 minutes for your exam. It allows us to practice answering questions quickly, promptly, concisely. It allows us to review our knowledge. What do we already know? What do I need to go back into my coursework, manual, videos, online stuff to review and get more information on? And it allows us to search for easy and hard questions. So it gives us an exam day strategy. If I get all of the easy ones out of the way first, I build my confidence, which means if I'm more confident, I can tackle the harder ones, and now they seem, well, less hard. And it allows us to develop an exam day strategy as opposed to going in blind, which is what most Fitpros, trainee Fitpros do. They just go into their exam, having practiced a few mock questions, but with no real exam day strategy. So here is how to tackle every exam day question and get it right without fail.
And avoid the mistake that everyone else makes. So the King's formula, some of you will know the King's formula. If you don't already, this is going to be absolutely crucial. It's something we teach as part of our Revision Mastery Bootcamp inside your bonus called the Instant Passing Hacks. So the King's formula is really, really key. So this is what you would use every single time you look at any mock question. Mock questions are usually multiple choice. And like Neil said earlier, the problem with those multiple choice questions is that they become very, very distracting as you look at the suggested answers. First thing you need to do is cover up the suggested answers and then work through this acronym meaning Kings. So first of all, you find the keyword. In fact, we're going to go through this. Rather than me rattling through this now, we're going to go through this with a live example. Let's have a look. So first thing you do when you've got your question
is cover up the mock Sorry, cover up all the answers.
All of them.
All of them.
Just the answers.
So you're going to get a blank piece of paper. You can ask for a blank piece of paper in your exam. Cover up all of the possible answers and only leave yourself the questions.
Perfect. And actually, as we're doing this, if you want to write in your answers as we go, that would be absolutely fantastic. So when we're looking at any question that comes up, the first thing you need to do is K, and this is take the key words out of the question. So let's take this question that's on screen now. Which of the following forms the inferior aspect of the inner core unit? So you underline the keywords, which has done nicely for us. Thank you, technology. We've underlined inferior and inner core unit. And then once you underline those, you need to know what they are. So I stands for what do I know about those keywords? Not me, but you. What do you know about those keywords? So you go, okay, I know that inferior means lower. I know it means the lowest part of. You know, okay, well, what do I know about the inner core unit? Okay, well, I know that there are 4 muscles that make up the inner core unit, and they're really, really deep. And maybe I could list those 4 out, okay? And then I'm going to say, okay, well, what's the necessity of the question? This is key. This is the point where you need to reread the question and think, what is the question really asking me? So read it again and go, it's looking for the inferior aspect. It's looking for the lowest part of the inner core unit. Then you need to take a guess. So you might have jotted down the 4 muscles that are part of the inner core unit.
Which are the diaphragm,
the TVA, multifidus,
and the pelvic floor.
Lovely. So you jot those down and you say, I think I know that which one is the lowest. And then you have a look at your sample answers. So the sample answers will appear now. So let's have an uncover of the sample answers and see which of those you would say would be the inferior aspect of the inner core unit, based on everything you've already explored. So,
based on the Kings.
What do you think? The answer is, drop it in the comments box.
Jennifer's got it right. Graham's got it right. So if we look at that, we know that with the keywords, what do I know? What's the necessity or rereading here? What is it actually asking of me, of this question? And with my guess, I know that it's of 4 possible things, and we're looking for the lowest one. So I know that the pelvic floor, it's going to be the pelvic floor. And I look at the sample answers, erector spinae, well, it's not that one. Diaphragm is part of the inner core unit, but that is the top part.
That would be superior.
That would be the superior. And external obliques, well, no, that's not going to be it. So you're left with using the Kings, and it just gives you the correct answer every time. Now, we've used this for thousands of learners, literally. In excess of like 5,500, 6,000 learners, and they've used this, and people have come back and done their failed their first time, done their resit through us, and they've gone, I just used the Kings and I passed. It's so cool. So let's have another go. Oh, you almost got the answers.
Almost.
So let's look at this next mock question. Which of the following is, again, not a plane of movement? So the key word here is not plane of movement. What do I know about the following? Well, it's not going to be that. Now, this is a stumbling block. A lot of learners read this and do the opposite to the word not, and they go, which of the following is a plane of movement?
Exactly.
So reading the question, read the question every time. What do I know about planes of movement?
So you might go, well, I know there's 3 planes of movement, sagittal, frontal, and transverse. So I know it can't be one of those.
It can't be sagittal, transverse, or frontal. So the necessity here is which one of the following is not. My guess is, I know there's 3, and it's going to be the one that is not that one. Frontal, longitudinal, sagittal, transverse. Which one of the following is not? The answer
look
is
at those answers coming in.
B. Max says B. Mark says B. Jennifer says B. Louise says B. Joshua says B. Eureka says B. Claire says B. You're getting it right. Yes, let's have another go. So
we can do these even quicker, I reckon.
we can do these even quicker. Which exercise uses movement in the transverse plane? Slightly different approach now with the mock questions. We've got them all covered up.
So we're not going to even underline these keywords. So
we're not going to underline them.
What are your keywords? So jot in what the keywords are and have a stab at an idea of guessing what you think the answer might be.
So
before you even see the suggested answer.
What is the possible answer? So if you're watching the replay as well, drop in what you think the answer could be. The key word here is movement and transverse plane. We're looking for an exercise using the movement in the transverse plane. What do I know about the transverse plane? Erica's got it right. Rotation. The necessity here is using movement, some kind of mechanical movement, action in rotation. And the possible answers are A, torso rotation, B, side leg raise, C, knee extension, or D, biceps curl. The answer has to be based on King's A. Erika's got it right. Erica's got it right. Apologies, Claire, Louise, Graham, Mark, Eleanor, all getting it right. Superb. Carol, Brent, fantastic. King's keyword. What do I know about these keywords? Necessity. What is it really asking of me? And rereading the question, and based on K, I, and N, my guess is, and I look at my sample answers, and I'm left with no confusion, no overwhelm, no panic. Boom.
What I love about King's is it slows you down to actually read the question, and that takes away a lot of anxiety straight away. Cool.
So
let's do it. So we'll do this one. So which action is performed by the semimembranosus? So again, jot in your keywords, have an idea of some answers straight away. Just go in and guess the answers. Go for your Kings. I'm going to say the keywords here are action and semimembranosus.
So we know that action is movement. We know that semimembranosus is part of the hamstring group. Reread the question, and the answer is.
So is it A, extension of the knee, B, flexion of the knee,
C,
abduction of the hip, or D, abduction of the hip?
And you're all getting it right.
Lovely.
B is the correct answer. The semimembranosus origin is on the sits bones, and it attaches just behind the knee, and it can only flex the knee. This is why you have to jump into material, your manual, the Revision Mastery Bootcamps, to truly understand what it is that's going on, so you can answer these questions with clarity and use the Kings.
And those of you that are getting it right, that's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't been getting it right, and you've literally just been sat here going, oh my God, I think I'm the only one getting it wrong, I guarantee you're not. Not everybody has been commenting. It's okay if you have been getting them wrong, because it's okay to practice.
So I'm going to skip this question, because you can come back to the Kings and use this presentation. But that really is the moral of this whole thing around Kings. And maybe you are sitting on the sidelines and not commenting, which is perfectly fine, because what it comes down to is practice, practice, and practice. I didn't expect anybody to get it right tonight at all. In fact, I expected a lot of people to get some of the questions wrong, because part of revision is throwing darts at the dartboard and having a target board and going, do you know what, I got that wrong, and that's okay, I learned from it. I throw a dart at the dartboard, I missed the dartboard, it's okay, I don't understand the heart and lungs just yet. I don't understand origin and insertions just yet. And that's hopefully the inspiration and motivation this brings you. Just know that it's okay to start out and go, well, I don't know what I don't know, and it's okay to fail to start off with. It's a learning process. So practice, practice, and practice. Practice using Kings on the mock questions, and use that as your exam day and revision strategy. Because what on screen now, top right, is all about, the Kings. Where am I going to use it? On pretty much almost everyday life, to be honest. But where, who, why, and when, it's about using this in your revision all the time, using this in your exam, and even on the easy questions, on the hard questions.
Exactly. Yep. Totally use it for that. Use it for all of the questions as much as you possibly can.
Because without the Kings, you are left with kind of hope and
confusion. And overwhelm and anxiety. So just use this free strategy we've given you, I promise it will make a massive difference.
A huge difference.
And alongside strategy is not just in the exam, but also in that revision. Remember, it's one of the key things that people do is that they just don't have the structure there. So if you haven't already joined us for Revision Mastery Bootcamp or on our mock questions, then make sure you hit the links that are in the comments box underneath, and you will basically be able to go in and find out all about all of our Revision Mastery Bootcamps. They are literally structured to help you revise and pass with absolute confidence, and that's what it's all about. It's got a structure and strategy.
They're structured into the 8 modules, so there's no guessing. You can almost ditch your manuals. In fact, many learners do, and they just focus on this content. But what I want to do is pass the content over to you guys, and even if you're watching on replay, drop your comments below. We've got about 6 or 7 minutes of Q&A.
So my mind always goes blank when it comes to planes of movement and axis of movement. You are not alone, Erica. Like, honestly, it is.
Planes of movement is our #1 video watched on YouTube with literally hundreds of thousands of likes. So it has to be a clear sign that not many people get it. And that's okay. It comes down to...
I would say my biggest thing here, just as a real quick one, is relate the axis of movement to the plane rather than seeing them as separate. Just relate the two together so you have a group of actions that happen and they're frontal, and that means that they are anterior posterior, so that you've got them linked together so you know exactly.
But also there's nothing stopping you in your exam actually sitting there and going rotation, transverse, bicep curl, flexion, extension, sagittal. You have the ultimate anatomy cheat in your exam, and that's you. So link planes of movement and axis of movement to you, so you can kinesthetically learn it and say, I am rotating, I'm in the transverse plane. I'm in what axis? So link it to your body. So you take the ultimate revision cheat sheet in with you. Next one down, heart and lungs. Seriously, no matter what I do, I get stuck. And this came in from another person question earlier. Like, imagine you're trying to teach a 4- or 5-year-old heart and lungs. I did a really good, most of you are inside our inner circle on Facebook. I'll drop this post in after. I did a really good post the other day about how to draw the heart and lungs like a 4-year-old. It doesn't need to be complicated. Origins and insertions, I just can't remember them. I will also drop in the comments box below after this the typical muscles that come up. For origins and insertions. At level 2, you don't need to know origins and insertions, but at level 3, you do need to know them, and you need to know 50 of them. This is where the muscle memory sprint comes into action, really, to truly understand what's going on.
Joshua, I've just put a link in for you. I know that you just asked, so I'll just put that link in. All right. I
will drop all the muscles inside the inner circle shortly after this that typically come up. I can't tell you what's going to come up, but typically come up. I find it hard to understand the concept that you have on muscle contraction, but still the joint will not move, i.e. isometric, and you can have a muscle contract and the muscle will be lengthening. Eccentric, for me, contraction of a muscle is automatically associated with a concentric action. So maybe you can clarify the definition of the word contract in regard to a muscle.
Nice. Okay, so
great question.
just means that your actin and myosin are working together. So that sarcomere is, there's a contraction between the two, but you are able to have a contraction and the muscle not change length. That's called isometric. And then the concentric is the muscle getting shorter. That's the one that we relate to the joint action of that muscle, because we're talking about that muscle getting shorter, doing the workload. It's the prime mover, it's moving the joint. So we relate it to the concentric phase. I hope that answers your question. If not, then remind me and we'll follow back up with that as well.
What does insertion really refer to? Insertion is where the muscle inserts onto the tendon and then on the bone, and where it pulls from. So the origin is where it starts and the insertion is where that muscle officially finishes.
Yeah, which will be the other side of the joint. Got it. What's the Josh says, thanks. What's the easiest way to learn which muscles cause extension, flexion, adduction? What? Do it. Go in the gym and do it.
Every time you're on a machine in the gym, or if you're not a member of a gym or doing your home workout, think what's happening. I'm doing a squat. What muscles are working? Are they flexing? Are they extending? What joints are working? Again, this is something we teach on our level 2 course. You are the ultimate A&P walking Bible, so to speak. The easiest way is to attach your learning to actually doing it. That's the quickest and easiest way to learn it. So that when you're in the exam and they ask about a particular question, you know what they're talking about because you've learned it from a kinesthetic perspective.
Absolutely. Joe's got a good question. Are all examining bodies the same difficulty?
Yes.
Level 2 is level 2. Level 2 is equivalent to GCSE. Level 3 is equivalent to A-level. So yes, they are the same, but on every exam you'll have some that are either side of average. So some will be.
It's like a bell curve. So you're going to get some slightly easier, some in the middle, and some slightly harder.
So we have dropped in a couple of links within here. So if you haven't already joined us for the Revision Mastery Bootcamp, then I am popping in a link here where you can join us. If you've got any specific questions, we did have one come in about can I watch this from my phone? Yes, you can. You can download it and listen to the audio and the MP4 throughout that. Absolutely. So yes, you can download it and you can then listen to it even without Wi-Fi then.
We've got so many questions. On this webinar, we are about to be closed because we have literally less than 1 minute. I'm going to go live in the Facebook Inner Circle. So if you guys have more questions or I haven't answered your question, when this webinar closes, in less than a few seconds time, I'm going to go straight online